Breaking news from KHON2, happening now.
Breaking news this morning, a tsunami watch is now in effect for the entire state of Hawaii after an 8.1 magnitude earthquake just to the northeast of New Zealand. As of right now, it's still too early to tell if a tsunami was generated, but it may have been. And as of right now, it is under investigation. We'll continue to track this. But again, breaking news this morning, a tsunami watch has been issued for the state.
And so we wait, as we do with every tsunami watch that happens. This is an earthquake that is a very powerful earthquake at magnitude 8.1, so clearly it could generate some sort of tsunami that would travel thousands of miles to the state of Hawaii. How big the waves will be, even when the arrival of any large waves, that's still up in the air. And what's happening now is more data is being ingested into buoys across the Pacific. That data crunched into a supercomputer that models basically the wave energy, and from that point, we're just waiting for the latest bulletin from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center.
Right, and the benefit of a large earthquake happening well away from us is that we do have more time to prepare, and the estimated first arrival of the first tsunami waves is 4:35 this afternoon. So be prepared, know if you are in a tsunami evacuation zone, make sure you have your emergency kits ready, have a plan with your family, just in case this is generated.
And we'll talk more about what to do during a tsunami watch and if a tsunami would actually arrive. We'll have that in just a bit. I do want to take a closer look at the seismic activity for this area because it has fired up over the last 24 hours. The red dots that you see, those are larger magnitude quakes, but we've also seen a situation where there's been smaller aftershocks in the magnitude 4, maybe 5, strength. So there's a lot going on right now in this area of the Pacific. Of course, this is to the north of New Zealand, and also a few earthquakes that have occurred just offshore of New Zealand. North of New Zealand, still in the West Pacific, or in the South Pacific, I should say, with this latest 8.1 magnitude earthquake. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center again saying a tsunami may have been generated, and this is why we wait to see as more data becomes available for them to make a decision on what to do next.
That's right. And after that initial large earthquake, a tsunami warning was actually posted for the residents of New Zealand. That has since been dropped, but there have been, you mentioned some of the larger aftershocks, there have been at least 8. So even if we don't see a tsunami for New Zealand, we may still see some big damage just from the shake itself. I
want to go back to the point where the tsunami warning was generated and dropped for New Zealand.
Right.
That's good news.
Right.
If you think that New Zealand is a closer landmass to the actual epicenter and then Hawaii much farther away, it doesn't mean that we could be in the clear at all. Right. But because it also depends on what direction that wave energy goes.
Exactly.
But it is an encouraging thing. So we'll have to wait and see. And keep in mind, we are a long way from the epicenter, and that gives us some time. Even though these tsunami waves travel at speeds of jets, 500 miles per hour, for example, roughly, it still gives us a little bit of lead time, being 3,700 miles away from the epicenter of this earthquake. And again, things have really started to fire up, especially in the last 24 hours for the South Pacific. So, Kelly, the approximate time should any tsunami be generated if we were to see any waves just after 4? The
estimated arrival, yes, 4:35 for that first wave. So we'll continue to stay in touch with the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. They initially put out their update just before 10 o'clock this morning, their initial watch that was issued, and it has since been updated. Originally, they were reporting maybe it was an 8.0 magnitude earthquake. They've bumped it up to 8.1 magnitude. And as of right now, again, if you are just tuning in, Hawaii is under a tsunami watch, and based on all available data, a tsunami may have been generated by that large earthquake, and that could potentially be destructive on coastal areas, even far from that epicenter. So I know we're seeing this is over 3,700 miles to the north the state is to where this epicenter was. But again, that is still possible. So an investigation is currently underway to determine if there is a tsunami threat here in the islands. And if there is, the tsunami wave's first estimated earliest arrival would be 4:35 this afternoon, but we'll continue to keep updated on the timing. But as of right now, it is not the time to panic, but it is a good time to prepare, and just it's a good reminder too, even if nothing is generated, to have a plan with your family and to always know what to do. But again, still too far out. So in the next couple of hours, we'll start to get more data from the buoys, and we'll have a better look at what we're potentially going to see from this.
And we have a lot of lead time in terms of distance away from the epicenter of the earthquake, and also the number of hours it's going to take for that wave energy to get here. Again, even though it travels very, very quickly. So, two things for you. What if you're in a tsunami zone? If you're in a tsunami zone or don't know that you're in a tsunami zone, first off, get to your computer and find out if your work or your home is in a tsunami zone. If you are in a tsunami zone, then you do a vertical evacuation, which means you want to go up a few floors from, the ground floor, or you want to do an inland evacuation, which is simply getting out of the tsunami inundation zone. We here at KHON, we are in a tsunami inundation zone on the very edge of it, but still technically in it. So if we needed to evacuate, for example, we're right near the Ala Moana area, we would evacuate vertically or just move more inland. By the way, no need for a run on supplies. This is not that type of emergency.
Right. And if you are curious to find out if you are in a tsunami evacuation zone, the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, they have a great site where you can check out the map. And so if you head to dod.hawaii.gov, you'll be able to find that under the resources there. Just Google Hawaii evacuation zones, you'll be able to find it. But if you are near the coast, make sure you check it out. And here's a look right now. We'll have more on this coming up in just a bit. But for now, let's send it on out to Manolo Morales. He's live out near the Alawai. Manolo?
Thank you very much, Kelly. Yeah, here at the Alawai Boat Harbor. And of course, boaters had to be very familiar with protocols every time there's a tsunami watch, anything like that has been issued. And at this point, you're not going to see a whole lot of bustling activity here, because what it is at this point, they're on a standby mode, in a sense of, okay, waiting to see will there be a tsunami warning or even an advisory. Then they will take more action. And in fact, there are people even here going out boating just like any other day that they'll be doing. And I was talking to the harbor master actually, and he was telling me the procedure is if there is a tsunami warning, boaters will then know that they would have to basically get their boats ready, untie them, and head out to sea. Make sure, because that basically is where the safest place is if a tsunami were to arrive here on Oahu. As far as how far away they need to go, and that's something that the boaters will have to determine. They have to go to pass where the waves break. So voters already, I'm sure, are already paying attention to what's coming up and making sure that, if as far as from this tsunami watch, if it gets any more serious with a warning or even an advisory, then they will have to take action, go to their boats, get it all ready, get it ready to be out there, and be out there until they give it the all clear sign. At this point, though, they're on a stay and watch and see what the next announcement will be, which basically, I guess, is a lot of what everybody else is out there who need to be concerned with something like this. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Manolo. And it is true. At this point, it is a waiting game for everyone, including a waiting game to see how much wave energy is fed into those dark buoys, and then the numbers crunched, and then we move on from there. At this point, we want to bring in an expert that we've had on our news for multiple years, Mr. Ed Teixeira. He is the former Vice Director of Hawaii Civil Defense at the time. And let's get Ed on the phone, Kelly. And Ed, let's start with, you're very experienced in this type of situations and emergency situations. If you are in a tsunami inundation zone and you know that there might be a potential tsunami, what should your next steps be?
Well, hey, good morning, and thanks for having me on. If you are in either you're living or working in a tsunami evacuation zone, then what you should be doing is just paying attention. Listening to the news, turn your TV on to your station, others, but you should be just monitoring the situation, because we are in a tsunami watch. and once the Tsunami Warning Center determines that there is a damaging wave coming toward Hawaii, and then there's some decisions that Tsunami Warning Center in conjunction with the National Weather Service, and above all, and most importantly, in conjunction with State Emergency Management Agency, now called HIEMA, and with the county civil defense agencies, they've got to make a decision on when they're going to warn the public. How they're going to warn the public is through the outdoor siren warning systems, as well as messaging. And you know, it's been about a little over 5 years since I've been in government and doing this kind of business, but at the time, we had a policy that if Hawaii was to go into a warning, then the warning would be broadcast out or determined to be 3 hours out before wave arrival time. As you've mentioned, earliest wave arrival in Hawaii is 4:35 p.m., and that's a very delicate time when you think about you know, most places are finishing their work, what we call pauhana. There's also whoever's in school these days, and I know it's a different mix of who's attending schools and all of that on this particular day, but it's a work day. So 4:35 is a very delicate time. So, you know, going to a warning by the book, it should be about 1:35 p.m., but it could be called earlier.
That is true.
And typically, in this situation, in any situation, when there is something major that could potentially be destructive here in the islands, it's a common response, it's a natural response potentially to panic. What should folks be doing at this hour? Again, a tsunami watch is issued for the state. What should people be doing? How should they prepare? Should we be running out to the stores? Should we be packing up the house? What do you suggest?
Well, I think you mentioned the key words. It's really no time to panic right now. We're just in a watch, and I don't want to play down the situation because it is very important. But I know the technicians and scientists at this Tsunami Warning Center are looking at every available resource from the deep assessment reporting of tsunami or the dark buoys, whatever they are, or these are reporting. They're looking at shoreline data with tsunami gauges around the entire Pacific, but we're looking at the southwest region, north of New Zealand, where the Chromatic Islands are located about 500 to 600 miles northeast of New Zealand. We're trying to measure, I think they're trying to measure as much data as they can from all the areas, countries in the south and southwest of us to see what is being reported out as they are constantly, continuously monitoring the situation. Therefore, there's no time they're going to be running to gas stations, running to stores to go buy this or that. What you should keep in mind is if a tsunami warning is called for the state of Hawaii and you live or work in a tsunami evacuation zone, what are your next moves? As you very, very accurately point out, you either want to do a vertical evacuation. That means if you're in hotels, for example, and structurally sound, you want to go up to the third floor or higher. If not, then you want to have a plan to evacuate inland. You know, I used to always say if you can, walk out of a tsunami zone, then don't get in your car and drive out, because that can lead to traffic congestions and so on when the sirens go off. But there's no time to panic, as you pointed out. No time to go running to the stores or gas stations. Just have a plan. And, you know, I'm glad we heard from Manolo, who's down at the Alawai, because my thoughts automatically go to those folks that own boats that are in our harbors. And we also forget that what tsunami means in Japanese is harbor wave, where we've seen a lot of destruction because of the waves. The waves come in and bang those boats around.
Yeah, that's true. As we take a live look to the Alawai Canal right now, strangely and eerily calm waters for the state. Of course, the wave energy is far from moving here. And yeah, you know, I'm glad Ed brought up the fact, a little bit of the history of the name and the name meaning, because this is not a type of situation where it's like one large wave that you see in the movies often. That's really all Hollywood stuff. This is a wave that travels so quickly and so quickly over deep water. You really don't, if you're in a boat in the middle of the ocean, you're not going to see any kind of real sea level rise. It's only when the wave becomes over shallow areas that starts to, it almost is like a force of water pushing into the islands, pushing into the harbors. It's not a very, you know, it's not a surfable kind of thing. So it just imagine like a surge of forward-moving, fast-moving water to the islands. And again, it's the hope at this point that, yes, we do know that there's a large earthquake in the South Pacific. We do know that it could have generated a tsunami. If so, maybe some numbers that are being thrown around right now, 0.3 meters above the tide level. But we're still waiting on data from these DART buoys and from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center to give us a better indication of whether or not the threat is imminent or real.
Yes, and if that did come through, we could potentially see some dangerous coastal flooding as well as powerful currents. So just make sure you are staying tuned to KHON2. We'll have the latest on air and online and bring you the latest on this. But for those who are just tuning in, again, a tsunami watch has been posted for the entire state of the islands. We're continuing to track this as we may be potentially seeing the first arrival waves as early as 4:35 this afternoon.
All right, we do want to say thank you to Ed Teixeira for joining us once again. We always appreciate his insight. Ed, if you don't mind, we probably most likely would appreciate to talk to you at the top of the hour as well. We'll most likely be doing these top of the hour updates for you. Thank you so much, Ed. Appreciate it.
Be glad to. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, can we take a look at that one slide that shows, sorry, Kelly's closer to the
I got you.
weather computer. I'm not trying to be bossy. If we could take a look at the one slide that shows the Pacific, it's the one before this, and the distance.
The distance,
yeah,
yes.
the distance from the islands, you know, very close to, it's Kermadec Islands. It's where the epicenter is, and it's about 3,700 miles to the state of Hawaii. So it's got a bit of a travel to do, despite the fact that these tsunami waves can go upwards of 500 miles per hour. But if you were to imagine taking a jet and flying from the South Pacific, you know, specifically from these Kermadec Islands, and then flying to Hawaii over 8 hours. So that's what we're dealing with. And as far as those buoys, there are one or two in the South Pacific that were placed there. Much of the buoys were actually placed along a line in the Pacific Rim in the West Pacific because of Japan and because of the earthquakes in Alaska and California. So it lined the entire Pacific pretty much from the West Coast U.S. all the way up through Alaska, Russia, Japan, and then down towards the Philippines. Those were put in there after the earthquake in Indonesia that caused such destructive damage. But there are some buoys in the West Pacific and in the South Pacific. It's just not as numerous as the other areas because the seismic activity compared to, let's say, Japan and Russia, it's much more active in that part of the world. So we're just glad to have that tool to give us a little bit of a heads up instead of, you know, a guessing game. And at this point, Kelly, do we have anything from Pacific Tsunami Warning Center? Any update from them? No
update for us here in the islands. We are still under that tsunami watch. There was an earthquake or an update though for Guam. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is saying that no tsunami threat is going to be coming through for the Guam area from that very distant earthquake. So I'm just reading up Saipan as well. It looks like also in the clear, although they are saying that some minor sea level fluctuations may occur, that they're not going to be seeing any damages. So I was just reading up on what some of the other islands are going to be potentially experiencing.
Well, that's good news.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that we're out of the clear because if you look at the location of Guam, it's in the, you know, it's by the Philippines. And so even though Guam is in the clear, you know, New Zealand is in the clear. Both of those areas are in a different direction from the wave energy that Hawaii is supposed to get. Our wave energy is pretty much going to be from the south and the southwest of the Hawaiian Islands, and you know, and Guam is very. Guam would be to the northwest, or Guam's wave energy would be from the southeast. So it's a little bit of a different direction. So hopefully Hawaii will fall in line as well. And we've been told from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center that they say further messages will be issued hourly or sooner as conditions warrant until the threat to Hawaii is past. So we do expect from them another message, and would be tsunami message number 3 for the state of Hawaii. Perhaps another tsunami watch supplement or a notice that the tsunami watch will continue or not. So the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center didn't give a special time of each hour. They said further messages will be issued hourly or sooner. So I don't think there's a timestamp on that, if you will. So we'll have to just play it by ear. And of course, we'll update you regardless if at the top of the hour or any time there's any additional information. We'll make sure that we hang that on our website and do a push alert. So make sure you download the KHON2 mobile app.
And hopefully they can get some of the data from those buoys so we get a better look. But we will be knowing more within the next few hours, so make sure you stay tuned.
And the good news, technology has gotten much better. Computers have gotten much more powerful. We get numbers quicker. So as opposed to, being in this situation even 5 years ago, we're in better shape.
Yes, and of course, we're continuing to work for Hawaii here at KHON2. We'll have the latest. Again, though, breaking news this morning, a tsunami watch has been issued for the entire state after an 8.1 magnitude earthquake off of New Zealand.
We'll keep you posted. Stay safe, and thanks for tuning in.